Oh my god, what is up everybody? Welcome back to another early LEGO review here in 2022, and today we have possibly my favorite set of the entire year. This is, for the first time ever, the official LEGO and Hasbro Transformers Optimus Prime. This is the Creator Expert, set number 10302, comes at 1,508 pieces, is recommended for ages 18 and up, and will be releasing on June 1st for $170 here in the US. Now, I do want to give a huge thanks to LEGO for sending over a free review copy for us to take a look at. Now, when I take a look back at when we heard a rumor of an Optimus Prime set, I was stoked, but also there was a large part of me that did not want to believe it was true. If we're taking a look at my childhood, it's Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Transformers sort of all clumped together. So this is sort of like the dream set I never really knew that I wanted, but when I saw it, I fell in love with it. So I do want to firstly talk about the box real fast. Like I said, it is an 18 plus set, so you will have the black background. You have a nice little sort of lighter bluish white color illuminating the backside of the model on the front of the box, and also on the top right you can see here that there is a small diagram that sort of condenses how the model itself can transform between Optimus and then the truck version, which is pretty cool. On the back of the box here you have some better graphics and imagery of how the model actually converts. Now, you don't actually have to remove anything on the Prime model. It can literally fold itself up, obviously excluding the accessories. So we're going to talk about that today. There's also a bunch of cool stuff it comes with, which we'll get into in a little bit, and then better images and graphics, and also the dimensions of the Optimus Prime, like we were talking about below. Now, as far as my knowledge of Optimus Prime, it really only stems from the movies. Obviously, I grew up with Transformers 1, 2, and 3 with Shia LaBeouf, and it was great movies, big part of my childhood, but I never really got invested into any of the TV shows or comics or any of the OG, if you will. So from what I can gather, this is the G1 version of Optimus Prime. It's sort of like the OG, the original variant of Optimus Prime. I believe this version was first made public in around the 1980s or early 1990s. Correct me if I'm wrong down below in the description. So he does have a little bit of a different look than you might be used to seeing him if you've really only seen him from the movies or anything like that. So for those who don't know Transformers or anything about the story, let's just quickly talk about it. Optimus Prime is sort of just the leader of the Autobots. There are Autobots who are good guys, and there are Decepticons who you could probably relate to the Empire if we're putting this in Star Wars terms. So already this is probably one of the most, if not the most iconic Transformer that they have made so far, so definitely suited well to be the first set LEGO has ever made. First off, we'll talk about the plaque. It's very similar to UCS or other display adult sets. We do have a stickered sheet here that you can put onto the piece. It has Optimus Prime, the commander, and the quote that goes along with Optimus Prime says, "Freedom is the right to all sentient beings," so that's kind of cool. And then he also has some like video game characteristic breakdowns with like 10 strength, 10 intelligence, 8 speed. I guess he could do a little better on speed, but I guess that's sort of like a breakdown of all of his attributes and different powers and stuff like that. Now, before we get into the model, I want to talk about accessories. There are a handful of accessories. So the first accessory here is the Ion Blaster. This is personally my favorite, and also why I have chose to display it with Optimus Prime for the sake of today's video. But it's essentially this like long sort of rifle blaster that absolutely destroys anything that he shoots. I'm also pretty sure I've seen this in the movies as well in a couple of scenes, maybe a little bit of a different iteration, but it's super easy to assemble and put on. All you have to do is basically put the back end of studs and it connects to sort of like the forearm area of Optimus Prime, and then the handle actually sits perfectly right in the hand itself, and that's it. It's so easy. That's a testament to just how amazing the set is and how easy it is to assemble and reassemble and transform. So we're going to get into all that in a little bit. Now, the second one I believe is called the Energon Axe. Again, likewise, I'm pretty sure I've seen this in the movies, just a different variant. This one's a little bit different. It does require a little bit of tinkering to put on. All you have to do is remove the hand. It's very, very simple. And then there's going to be some axle bricks inside the arm of Optimus, and all you have to do is line up this brown axle and basically slide it in. That's it. A couple of times some pieces on the sides for decorating and detail did fall off, which is probably the only bad thing I could possibly say about the set. Now, the next one here is going to be the Energon Cube, and the best way I could put this is like this is the currency and also the food and just like the commodity of all commodities in the Transformers world. This is used to like power Transformers. It's also a form of currency in this Transformers world as far as I could tell. So this is pretty important. It's basically like if you got a toy on Christmas and you needed batteries, this is like how important that is, right? When you open a gift and you really want to play with it. So that's sort of what I can compare this to. It's really nice construction. It's sort of like this transparent purple magenta color with some tile on top. Looks really cool and futuristic. Looks very clean. And then the last one here is, I want to get the Optimus, right? Autobot Matrix of Leadership. Now, in the movies, this was a little different, but I believe here, obviously, we are talking about the G1 version, and that's actually in his chest. So it's basically this like wire fence piece that holds in a couple of transparent pieces and then some fun modified tile. But from what I can gather, this is essentially like the key to all like leadership. This is a symbol. It's a representation of leadership in the Transformers world. And of course, Optimus Prime, being the absolute Chad that he is, he does have it. And it is right there inside of his chest. And also the windows kind of function like that, so you can just open and close it immediately. Now, those are all the accessories that are included in Optimus Prime. With that out of the way, I do want to get into the actual build. So this model is over 13.5 inches tall. You can see here it's a pretty large model. I'll actually get a minifigure for you guys to compare this to. Here's Pelimata from the Mandalorian N1. You can see here the minifigure is right there, and this is how big Optimus is. So I don't really know how accurate it is in terms of how it would scale with an actual human, but from what I can gather, it's certainly a pretty reliable scale. And honestly, if someone wanted to make a mock from Transformers or anything using humans or Lego minifigures as a scale, it could definitely work out pretty well for you. Now, there's basically 3 different areas of Optimus Prime, or I guess 4. The first one's going to be the head, the second one is sort of the chest and the arms, and the third is going to be sort of the mid-leg area, midsection, and the bottom here is essentially the feet and the legs. Now, each of these areas is signified by a different color. The color scheme is really simple, but it's also quite beautiful. Let's take a look at Optimus Prime's head for a second. There is a brand new printed 2x2 tile, but this is interesting because the tile has printing on the side of it, and that's what you see as Optimus Prime's eyes, which looks so cool. And then there's also this sort of metallic gray face mask and then different angled pieces to really get the shape of a mask, like the sort of warrior helmet that Optimus Prime sort of locks in whenever he goes into battle. So that looks super nice. And then the next section here is going to be the sort of larger, bulkier red section, sort of the torso and the arms, again signified by red, all of which is fantastic. I do want to draw your attention to the Autobot logo, which I previously thought from looking at the box was a sticker, but it's not. It's actually a printed tile. There are 2 of them. That's awesome. I'm very excited to have those as printed tiles. And then there's also some other cool details you can see here throughout the rest of the arms and stuff like that. Now, on the back of Optimus Prime, you'll see here that there is a jetpack. You can actually build a jetpack for Optimus Prime. If you want to hook it on, it's super simple. All you have to do is use the clips that are on the jetpack and line that up with the back of Optimus Prime's sort of back and torso area. Super simple, locks on really easily. And then you have the sort of rocket boosters towards the bottom and another printed Autobot piece, which looks just so awesome. Now, as you move towards the middle section here, you can see the legs are actually quite impressive. They're using some of the larger tires on each side to represent obviously the tires that he uses when he transforms into the truck. But overall, the aesthetic and the look is nailed perfectly between like these little sort of greeble details right above the second and third wheel and all the other cool details. It's really fun. Now, I do want to talk about poseability really fast. It's very, very optional. You have a lot of different options you can use here. So first off, you can obviously click the legs together. This is useful when you're transforming. But as far as anything else goes, they can go pretty far. If you want to have him do like a sort of 50% split, you definitely can. I'm probably going to lean more towards a pose like this. And then also the feet are a little bit more giving, I guess, than the rest. So even if the legs are at an angle, the feet are going to always stay planted on the ground, which is really nice. The body does essentially turn 360, which is a very useful thing to do if you're going to be transforming, which we will get into in just a second. The arms pose, there's a couple of different joints here, both at the shoulder and the elbow. So pretty much anything in any direction you want to pose him in, you're going to pretty much have an option for that, which is definitely the coolest thing about this one. Then getting on into the actual coolest thing, this can transform into the truck without even taking apart anything, obviously, except the accessories. So what you want to do first is take off any accessories that you put on. That includes the ion blaster or the axe or anything like that. Now, this is a video of me doing it. I'm going to basically verbalize and walk you guys through the process, but it probably takes about 45 seconds once you actually know it by heart. Of course, I don't just yet. So first thing you want to do is take off the jetpack for the back of Optimus Prime and then lock the legs together. You're then going to want to go ahead and make the arms completely straight and retract the hands themselves. And then you're essentially going to turn the entire body around. So it's basically a 180. So imagine if your face turned around, you were seeing behind you. That's kind of what you have to do. Then you'll basically want to sort of turn the rest of the arms, and you're going to want to tuck in the hands as well. And then you're also going to retract some of the feet. That also serves as like the back bumper or back blinker area of a car. And then a couple of things later, and voila, there you have it. Talking briefly about the car, again, it's not my ideal version of the Optimus Prime car. I love him from the Transformers movies. I think the G1 version is pretty sweet too, but it's a good looking model. You can see here there's a lot of red and a lot of blue that you can see. The legs are on the back here. You could also fit the ion cannon right in between both of the leg pieces, which is a pretty very unique way to store the actual blaster itself, but there is no other space for the other accessories. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just also something worth noting. But the truck is completely functional. It moves, all the wheels work, it's very smooth. There's no like hindrances when you're moving or playing with it or anything like that. Again, I chose to display it such as this because I just think it looks cooler when he's fully transformed into his Optimus Prime. But the transforming process is so easy, and I really think this opens up gateways to other Transformers that we could possibly get, which is the most exciting thing for me. As much as I love this set and as much as I am so happy Optimus is here, I'd love to see Bumblebee, I'd love to see Ratchet or Ironhide or any of the classic original ones from the Autobots, and even Decepticons. I mean, I don't know if LEGO would ever do like Megatron and Starscream and all those kind of evil guys, but I think that would be really cool. So thank you guys for watching my review of the Optimus Prime G1 coming from LEGO. Again, this is a June 1st release for $160. Huge thanks to LEGO for sending me quite possibly the dream set that I wanted, that I never knew I wanted, which is kind of weird. But let me know down below if you guys are Transformers fans, and let me also know if you guys are going to be buying this on day one, or if this is just going to be something you're going to be getting at some point in the future. Let me know down below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Take it easy. Peace.